Hello everyone and welcome back live here on the World Racing Network. For tonight's broadcast of the National Sim Racing Association Beer Street Journal Grand National Series here, live as always on the World Racing Network on this Thursday night. Glad you're here joining us here already. Some people out in the chat. I'm Mitchell Adams. Tyler Belanger is feeling under the weather. This week it is difficult to broadcast if you don't have much of a voice to do it with, so we are hoping Tyler gets feeling better soon and can join us back next week for Talladega. But for tonight, it is Darlington, the lady in black, and it is going to be a challenge for these drivers here as they are just getting practice wrapped up here on the racetrack. Will Radcliffe in the chat saying ready to see some NASCARs, and we are too here on the World Racing Network. Phillip Scott, the fastest car in practice here for Darlington. A very, very difficult racetrack this is, and you're going to see exactly why. It's a mile and a half, but it's nothing like we ever go to here in this series. So it's sure going to be a challenge for these drivers as drivers now getting on track for qualifying. You see Martin Plute in the number 4 machine exiting the pit road, going on track. Steven Lachensky also getting out onto the racetrack a little bit. The 41 Matt Donnelly here going out on the pit road, and I've noticed some drivers in some different paint schemes this week. It is Darlington, and that is a track where typically we see different paint schemes going on. NASCAR does a throwback race here at Darlington, and I think that's what we're seeing from some drivers, maybe not, but by the way, there are some new looks for some drivers here this week we're going to have to stay on top of. So you see Donnelly and a lot of others going out on track for their first laps in qualifying here. This is a nice scheme Matt Donnelly has going on. Justin White in the 2 machine headed off into turn number 1. A driver noticeably not here tonight. There are actually a couple drivers noticeably not here tonight. That includes Jason Gracias, last week's race winner, Adam Pettit in the 17 as well. The only 2 multi-race winners this season not in the field tonight as qualifying getting underway as some drivers have some laps on the board now. It's the 41 of Matt Donnelly. No, it's not. It's the 99 of Phillip Scott. Currently leading practice. Phillip gets up into the wall, though, through turns number 1 and 2. That is going to mean he's not going to get a second lap on the board here, and you see Phillip just pulling it to a stop. Mike Floppy Tellier is back in the Hello Kitty machine. Driver of the number 47. The 88 of Noah Owens put up a good lap on his first runs. Currently sits second. Will he get Phillip Scott here? No, that one is going to be better, but not good enough to get to the top of the charts. Actually, it was not better. Scoring was just slow to update. And a couple drivers still on the track. Justin White just wrapped up qualifying, actually. Stan Hausman in the Beer Street Journal machine just got off of the track as well. Don't see a lap posted from Stan yet. He might not get it in as there's only... Well, actually, scoring is frozen up. That might make it a little bit difficult here. We're going to work with that one. Here's Nate Maurer in the 971 going out onto the track for his first laps of qualifying. The 6 of Nick Kessler. Also, going for a spin. Overcorrects it into the wall hard for Nick Kessler. And they're going to have to whip out the backup car before we go into the race, which should be momentarily here. You see Justin White just sitting out on the racetrack. Here's Nate Maurer out trying to get a good lap time in before we go to the race. Again, if you're out watching in the chat, let us know how your day's been and let us know who you're rooting for once again here tonight. Ryder out in the chat saying go Phillip. I have a feeling Will Radcliffe also rooting on Phillip Scott out in the chat as he normally does. He's currently on pole by over 1/10 of a second. Nate Maurer goes to 6th on the speed charts. That one's not going to be quite good enough for Nate Maurer, but 1 win on the season for him, and they'll be looking to repeat that again here as we don't actually know how much time is left because scoring is all frozen up, but we assume qualifying will wrap up momentarily, and it is Phillip Scott sitting on the board. Nobody else out on track at the moment. You get a couple looks here around Darlington. It's great racetrack, been on the NASCAR schedule for a very long time. Again, this hosts the Southern 500. I'm trying to think. I think it's the Goodyear 400 also they do now. It's a very historic racetrack. They did some work on it recently in real life. Will Radcliffe in the chat says, been good. How about you, Mitchell? And of course, rooting for Phillip Scott. There it is right there. Goodyear 400. See, Mitchell knows his NASCAR. It's all good. I've been doing pretty good here. I get to once again spend my Thursday night up in the booth with you, which I couldn't ask for anything more. Martin Plude out in the chat saying, I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure where I am, where I'm going, and how to drive this track. Well, Martin, the track's really narrow, so you don't get much lane choice. Just don't hit the wall and don't go too low and spin out, and I think you'll be okay. Currently sitting 9th on the speed chart, so inside the top 10 for Martin Plude, and I finally have scoring back working again. I did for a second. Now it's back, and we are getting ready to grid up for this 90-lap event here from Darlington. We'll run you through your starting order for tonight's race here. It is going to be Phillip Scott in the number 99 machine, not yet on the grid, but he will lead the field to green here. Noah Owens in the 88 machine will roll off in second. The 33 of Trey Whited going to start in third. The 77 of Doug Neal, that Simbox Racing machine, starts in fourth. In fifth place is Matt Donnelly. Sixth place, the other Simbox machine here. Back to back, Nate Maurer. Then it's the 2 of Justin White starting seventh. Mike Tellier in the Hello Kitty car, the 47, starts 8th. Martin Plude rolls off from 9th. In 10th is Steven Lachensky. Then looking outside the top 10, in 11th is the 8 of Ryan Sizemore. In 12th is the 6 of Nick Kessler in the Taz Racing Customs machine. 13th is the Beer Street Journal machine of Stan Hausman. There's Ryan Sizemore coming onto the grid. Here in 14th is the 48 of Tom Lester. Maybe a new number for that car if memory serves me right. And then the 28 of Sam Kohlhaas, who will by default win the Battle of the Sodas tonight, because Bryce Hunter and Ira Kohlhaas not in the field here tonight at Darlington. That will round out the 15 cars who are going to start in tonight's race, led of course by Phillip Scott. Phillip been very good all season long. We've highlighted it a lot, the speed that 99 machine has had last race as well. Phillip did a very good job, and once again forgot to pull up the point standings before we actually got going. One of these days I'm gonna actually remember to do that so that I don't have to be like, oh, I forgot to pull these up. Okay, Phillip Scott is second in points right now. He is 127 points behind Adam Pettit, but Pettit is not here tonight, so that could be a chance for Phillip Scott to make up some of those points. Mike Tellier is also right behind Phillip in third in points. The 47 also in the grid here tonight, missed last week. That camera is going to be bothering me all night long, where iRacing stuck a camera behind the billboards. We had issues at Homestead, and we're having a little issue here at Darlington. Not nearly as bad as when they stuck a camera behind the bleacher and you couldn't see any of the racetrack. But everybody out in the chat, again, thank you for spending your Thursday night with us here on the World Racing Network. We're getting ready to go green for 90 laps of Darlington. It should be exciting as there goes the iRacing pace car down pit road. Gonna put the field in the hands of the flag man. And Phillip Scott here coming to the line. Scott leading, Noah Owens in the high line starts second, and we are green flag here from Darlington, South Carolina, and it's a good jump for driver of the National Ninja League 99 machine. He is going to get out to a clean race lead entering turn number 1. The 88 of Noah Owens also got off the line pretty good in single file, mostly for your front cars, and that is something we are going to see quite a bit of here at Darlington, because this is such a narrow racetrack. You can see how narrow this racing groove is on the track, and that is going to be something drivers deal with all race long. As you see the 8 of Ryan Sizemore looking underneath Martin Plude. That is the battle for the 8th place position. Plude up 1 on the start of this race. Sizemore up 2. A lot of drivers moving around behind 8th place, 8th through 15th. Only one driver did not change positions on that first lap. As here goes Nick Kessler up the inside of the 8. of Ryan Sizemore. Sizemore got close to that wall, might have just brushed it. And that is going to allow Kessler to move up through on the inside lane, and Mike Telly are going to try and take advantage as well. Like we said, single file is mostly what you're going to see. We'll go on board with Ryan Sizemore here, and you'll kind of get a view of how narrow this racetrack is through the corners. And when he gets into the corner, you'll see the dotted white line up the inside. This is much narrower racetrack. You can only really fit 2 cars side by side on the racetrack, which makes it super difficult to pass, as well as you see Nick Kessler moving up, trying to get under Justin White. He's going to do it, slides up into turns number 1 and 2. Quick Mitchell change the camera before it goes behind the billboards. So we're on it here at the World Racing Network, and that is really what these drivers are going to be dealing with. Noah Owens must have had some issues here. He has dropped significantly on this lap. In fact, I'm going to dial it back to a replay and see if something happened to that 88 machine on this lap. Yes, in fact, it did. Here we go down the front straightaway. Owens and Doug Neal side by side into one. Just gets high into the wall, loses control of the car, and he's going to slip back quite a few positions here in just one lap on the racetrack. Noah Owens currently finds himself in the 6th place position, so still running up toward the front, but dealing with a lot of damage, certainly on that number 88 machine. Other than that, it's been a clean start. Tristan Maher in the chat saying, "What's up, fellas?" And go Phillip. Phillip Scott cruising out front right now, 0.7 of a second in front of Trey Whitehead, who currently runs in the 2nd position. I believe this is a little Dale Jr. throwback that Trey Whitehead has on the car this week. I like seeing that. I love seeing throwback paint schemes, and I know we've got more paint scheme things coming up later in the season. I believe around the 4th of July, Beer Street Journal is doing the Beer Street Journal. I'm checking exactly what it's called. I don't want to screw it up. 4th of July week, we have the Beer Street Journal Star Spangled Bash for 2 weeks, and I believe they're doing patriotic paint schemes, so we get a lot to look forward to if you're a paint scheme nerd like I am. Trey Whitehead reeling in Phillip Scott quite a bit, actually, here. We'll pull up the lap times here. You see quite a bit of gain that last time by. When we started watching these two, Whitehead was about 0.8 of a second behind Scott, now just 3. So this gap quickly dwindling, but there is still about 3 or 4 car lengths in between them. And you see Phillip Scott running right on the wall too. That is something drivers, probably you're going to see more of it later in the race, because the wall very fast here at Darlington, but it takes a lot of guts to go run right up on the wall, which we saw Phillip Scott doing through turns 1 and 2. And let's actually jump on board with Phillip for just a little bit, and I'll be quiet for just a minute and let you all ride around with him here at Darlington. There's a lap around this racetrack as the 33 of Trey Whitehead looks up the inside of Phillip Scott into turn number 3. Not going to be able to do anything about it that time. Bob Giaquinto in the chat saying, "Sup y'all, Darlington at sunset makes for some of the best shots in iRacing." It certainly does. And it makes for a pretty race for us to watch here, as well as I'm going to flip the camera so we don't get stuck behind billboards out of turn number 2. Phillip Scott doing a good job just kind of sitting up in that higher lane, and it's very difficult if you're that car trying to make the pass like Whitehead is. We'll put that on hold because a caution is out on the racetrack. Caution number 1 of the night, and we're going to dial it up here on the World Racing Network replay. See what caused this one here that puts us under caution on lap number 10 as we found it here. Going through, I believe, turns number 1 and 2. This is the 8 of Ryan Sizemore. on corner exit. Oh, the 88 just kind of came up. Noah Owens got into the 8 of Sizemore. I don't really know who got into who, but things tighten up out of that corner, and we'll go on board and you'll see how tight the exit of 2 gets. But those two just had a little coming together out of the corner. Let's jump on board with Noah Owens, driver of the 88 machine. He was the one behind Sizemore. We'll kind of adjust the camera. You see the 8 up top. They're getting off the corner, and then they just kind of wreck from there. And it's very difficult to get out of the corner, and we'll talk about that a little bit again as we go forward. Want to catch pit stops if we can here on the racetrack. Here's a glimpse of the 88 of Owens, a very torn up race car. And not everybody pit. We had some takers though. Justin White down pit road. The 5, Stephen Lachensky, Stan Hausman in the Beer Street Journal car down pit road. Tom Lester and Ryan Sizemore. All those drivers pitting under this first caution of the race on lap 13 of 90. Again, this a little bit early on, so not everyone electing to make pit stops at this point in the race. They only have 3 sets of tires in the pits, so these drivers are going to be down one of those from pitting this early. And they are also tonight running 70% fuel, and that changes week to week. This week, 70% of the normal capacity fuel tank we would normally see in these cars. And it's Phillip Scott still out in the race lead, who Phillip has had a great season like we've documented. Was great through the short tracks, dominated both those races. Didn't win Iowa though. That was Nate Maurer who got the honor there. But Phillip has had a very good season, just looking to have that success, that same breakthrough on a bigger track here. Of course, we've seen the speed from him at Homestead, Kansas, Michigan. Phillip was great all those places, I believe, if memory serves me right. Just hasn't broken through for the win anywhere but a short track, and has a great chance to do it here today at Darlington. It's really a driver's track, and Phillip's a driver with a lot of experience, so definitely going to be difficult for any of these drivers to wrangle this race lead away from him, as pace car lights are out, and we're going to go back green here momentarily. And it's still Trey Whited in second. I'm almost surprised to see Phillip take the inside, because the outside lane can be a little bit more of an advantage here at Darlington. But of course, I'm the broadcaster, not the driver, so I'm sure Phillip Scott knows with the way the cars are handling. The inside lane may be where you want to be on these restarts, is going through turns 3 and 4. There goes the iRacing pace car back down pit road. The field in the hands of Phillip Scott out of turn number 4. Waiting for him to jump off of the grid. There he does it there. Oh, a lot of tire spin from a lot of drivers. Green flag back in the air. And what a jump Phillip Scott has into turn number 1. He got way in front of anybody else. I think the 33 of Whited and the 41 of Donnelly both had a lot of tire spin there on that restart, and it's let Phillip get away to a decent gap here, as you see battling, oh, even further in the pack. There was somebody almost around. I don't know who exactly that was, but side by side between Simbox Racing teammates for the 4th position. Nate Maurer going to get around Doug Neal for the 4th place position. Nick Kessler running in 6th place at the moment as well. No, Martin Plute actually got it from it. Martin moving his way up through the field quite a bit. A lot of big movers early on. Nick Kessler started 12th, running 7th right now, and Martin Plute started 9th, running 6th. Stay tuned Sports in the chat saying, what's up, everyone? Not much here, just watching some great racing these drivers in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series are putting on. How about you, Stay Tuned Sports? What's up with the podcast right now? I know I've seen you, I think on Facebook, you've been doing some stuff. Again, that link down in the description to check out the Stay Tuned Sports podcast, one of the series sponsors here. Will Ratcliffe saying that was a jump for the history books. It certainly was for Phillip Scott, but look at this, it's gone away as Phillip being challenged by the 33 of Trey Whited already here. That gap dissipated quickly. Saw Whited get a little bit offline on the exit of turn number 4. Of course, that happens for running the inside lane like he has been. And one of the more difficult things we always talk about, dirty air and the aero disadvantage you get from being that second place car, being behind the leader, how that kind of tightens the car up, makes it not want to turn as much. I've always felt like that's even more prevalent here at Darlington just because of how narrow the groove is. You really can't switch your lineup that much and go to another line to avoid that dirty air. You're always stuck with it. And this track also tends to tighten up quite a bit, so the cars, more often than not, I've seen kind of set like that. I don't know how they're driving tonight. I hadn't gotten the chance to talk to any drivers beforehand, but we'll definitely ask that question later on when we get some interviews with these drivers. Looking through the field, trying to find some battles. Doug Neal's dropped a lot of positions here pretty quickly, and you see him locked in battle with Justin White. Mike Tellier goes Nick Kessler in the Taz Racing Customs number 6 around Doug Neal. Neal dropped 4 spots in that one lap, and there you see Kessler gets up into the wall. I actually think we're going to dial up here on the World Racing Network replay, getting word that something might have happened as well to the 77 of Doug Neal to cause him to drop all those spots here. Let's check it out on the replay. This is entering turn number 1. You just see him running up close to the wall. We'll see if something doesn't happen to the 77. Oh yes, catches the turn 2 wall on exit. That will cost you some spots, and oh, you see Justin White. A little scary moment for driver of the number 2 machine, and that's what kind of caused him to get up high and toward the wall. But Doug Neal's gathered it back up here, running in the 9th place position. Stan Hausman in the Beer Street Journal car trying to make a move up the inside of Ryan Sizemore. Now looking 2 for 1, trying to get up the inside of Doug Neal as well. Drag race down the front straightaway by Hausman and Neal. And Doug Neal going to give that spot up, but he gets clipped by Ryan Sizemore in the 8. Oh, into the 5 as well. Steven Lachensky, they keep it going straight. But man, that one really going to hurt the 77 and the 5, and we'll go back and take a look as well at what happened there. I think that one was just kind of a situation where Doug Neal and Stan Hausman racing down the straightaway. We'll look at it here from the chopper. You see the 77 checks up to let the 39 by, and Sizemore just didn't anticipate it and went ahead and sent it in like he normally would. And that caused the contact between those two, and Doug Neal, this race just gone really bad so far for driver of the number 77, and you see him jumping way down here. I think he's headed down pit road, maybe for some repairs. That remains to be seen, but that Simbox Racing car really beat up here. Rough couple of laps as we hit lap 25 for race leader Phillip Scott, who's driven away now from Trey Whited in the number 33. About 0.7 of a second separate these two now as they race. Oh, the 33 Whited actually catches the wall through turns 3 and 4. That can't really help that much. I know in real life they're the Xfinity Series cars, and I know that they have composite bodies that scraping the wall doesn't really hurt the car very much, but I don't know that iRacing structures that quite as accurately here for what we know as the Beer Street Journal cars. So I don't believe that they're quite as saved when they hit the wall. I think that does do quite a bit of damage to these race cars. Matt Donnelly here running inside the top 3, having a good run of things. We'll go back to him in a moment because Justin White looking to get around Nate Maurer, the 971. He's going to do it. Through turns 3 and 4 down the front straightaway. Justin White up into the 4th position. Justin White's a driver really, again, looking for a good run here today in this one. He comes into tonight 11th in points with only 1 top 10 on the season. Currently runs 4th place, well inside the top 5. That's got to be a good run for Justin White to start some positive momentum. As again, I know we've talked about here last week, this is kind of, the middle of the season. Trey Whited, though, into the wall through the corner. Justin White going to sneak by him here out of turn number 2 behind the billboard. So will Nate Maurer. Let's dial it back up here on the replay. We'll go on board with driver of the number 33 this time to see what happened to him through turns number 1 and 2. You see him off the throttle, coasting in. I think Donnelly was up his inside trying to make a pass, and White had kind of misjudged the speed of that car. And unfortunately for him, back up into the wall, more damage for driver of the number 33. He now runs 5th place on the racetrack. Still not a bad run. Bob Giaquinto in the chat saying, here's hoping Floppy doesn't hit the barrels at the opening of pit road this time around. That definitely not something you want to do, especially running 7th place like he is right now. Will Radcliffe saying, what a save from both of those. I assume he's talking about that one earlier we were looking at, not the last one, but between Lechensky and Owens, if memory serves me right. Or could have been the 41 and the 8. You never know. Like I was kind of saying here, going back to Justin White, this is the point of the season. I know we hit on it last week. Me and Tyler were talking about it. Where really we're out of the opening of the season and your position in the point standings has kind of been established at this point. And so sometimes it's a little bit difficult to push for those better finishes and, push to get more track position rather than just taking it easy and coasting through the middle of the regular season. There's a lot of points to be gained now if you can get some momentum going. So if you're Justin White, you come into tonight one top 10, actually 2 top 10s. No, 1 top 10. Reading's hard. He comes into tonight with 1 top 10, still 11th in points. You don't want to give up and say, man, I'm 11th in points. I guess that's where I'm going to stay. And he comes into tonight at Darlington. Strong run so far. Runs 2nd place on the racetrack. There's some great spots for driver of the number 2 machine. Was fastest car on the racetrack as well last time by, so Phillip Scott got to watch out for Justin White. 2 veterans here again at the front of the field. Make it 3 as well. Nate Maurer, a longtime driver of the National Sim Racing Association. So all these 3 duking it out here at the front of the field. In 4th place is Matt Donnelly in the number 41. Of course, had some strong runs here of late in the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series. And Stan Hausman as well has moved himself up inside the top 5, runs 5th. He got around Trey Whited, who has dropped a lot of spots very quickly, or lost a lot of time, I should say. He is now 6.5 seconds behind race leader Phillip Scott. This is from being about half a second behind Phillip before he had gotten into the wall and then the contact with Donnelly. So this is a car probably really wanted to come in for those fresh tires. And they will, I assume, be getting to do that here pretty soon. We're on lap 34 of 90, so past the 1/3 race distance, only 10 from halfway. So my little crew chief brain kind of thinking pit stops around lap 45-ish. 40 to 45 is what we are probably going to see from tonight. Searching through the racetrack for some battles for position. Nothing too spicy that I'm seeing right now. You've got this somewhat close here between the 47 of Tellier, the 5 of Lechensky. Also a little close on the racetrack is the 8 of Sizemore and the 48 of Tom Lester. And I'm pretty sure Lester running a new number. Sizemore high out of turn number 2 and give that spot to Tom Lester. We tuned in right at the right time to see the 48 car get around the number 8 of Sizemore, who's going to be dealing with, who is this? The 77 of Doug Neal. I almost thought it was Nate Maurer, and I'm like, they're not a lap down yet. This is Doug Neal, who's racing from 2 laps down in a very, very beat-up Simbox racing machine. 8 of Sizemore again up into the wall. These last couple of corners have not gone his way either. Looking up front, I said Phillip Scott better watch out. Justin White has run down the 99 of Phillip Scott. Lost some time out of 4, but that 2 machine is there if Phillip makes a mistake out front. Of course, he's done a great job all season of being consistent. Like we've said, a veteran sim racer knows what he's doing on these racetracks. Of course, so is Justin White. But Phillip Scott has done a great job all season just being smooth and consistent and keeping himself out of trouble, which is why he is 2nd place in points. But Justin White says, I don't really care about that. I want the race lead, and you see him right on the bumper of Phillip into turns number 1 and 2. Just going to be struggling with the handling of that race car. Again, we talk about the dirty air, plus Darlington, one of the most abrasive tracks to tires I think we go to on the schedule. The tires burn off so quickly here at Darlington. The handling difference is just extreme, and that is what Justin's going to fight as he manages to stick it up the inside. I didn't think he would. And Justin White going to clear Phillip Scott for the race lead. And that's not to say I don't have faith in Justin White. I just know from experience when the tires fall off at Darlington, it's so difficult to get that car to stick on the inside lane. But Justin White has it figured out right now because he is driving away from Phillip Scott already. These are actually Justin White's first laps led on the season as well. So he's loving the track here tonight. That team brought out a great racing machine here for Justin to drive as we are coming to, on lap 40. Gonna take a look back out at the chat. Will Radcliffe confirming he was talking about the 41 and the 8 getting together. Tristan Maher saying, what's up, Jimbo? And Jimbo saying, not much. Just got done practicing for tomorrow night. Let's see. I believe the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series, you all are also here at Darlington, if memory serves me right. Let me go flip the schedule. Yes, they are. Tomorrow night on 3Y TV is the Stay Tuned Sports Podcast Truck Series. It's the Simbox 170 from right here at Darlington. So again, make sure to go tune in to our friends over on 3Y TV to catch that race here. You see Justin White as well, working way through lap traffic, getting around Sam Kohlhaas in the number 28 machine. Nobody yet to make green flag pit stops. That's what I have my eye on right now as we hit lap 42 of 90. Oh, it's Justin White also up into the wall. That's not good for driver of the number 2. You want to keep that race car nice and clean here. Of course, he does have the clean air helping, but that's going to allow Phillip Scott to make a little bit of a run at him. Of course, he's got a nice gap built up, Justin does, and he's definitely going to be able to kind of ride it a little bit. He knows that he saved his tires better than Phillip Scott at this point in the run. He doesn't need to be pushing it too close to that wall, I don't think. You know, you can give it a little space. It is faster right up against the wall, but with the way iRacing is with damage, if you get up into that wall just once, it can be enough to just destroy the speed of your race car. Of course, I don't think we're seeing that as much tonight. Those little love taps they see are, Darlington stripes here at Darlington. There's actually a term for it. They don't seem to be having a super big effect on the car. Just don't ask Trey Whited, who I know got a really big one earlier in the race. He is still running in the 6th position. Steven Lachensky actually just got around him for 6th. Whited now 7th. Tristan Maher in the chat saying it's going to be fun. I'm going to try and keep my less than 1 incident per race streak going. That's a really good streak to have going, and you'll get a lot of points that way, being consistent in the season. That is what these drivers are trying to do here at Darlington. But Tristan, you picked a really hard track to have to go to keep that streak alive. It's so easy to get up the track. Of course, you get a 0x for wall contact unless it's bad enough. So I guess you're doing all right as long as you don't go bumping into other people, which also a little bit difficult to do here at Darlington. Justin White, though, a 2.5 seconds now in front of Phillip Scott. This is a lot of speed coming from Justin White. The 41 of Matt Donnelly going to be the first driver to jump down pit road during this cycle. No good cameras of pit road. There's the 41 down pit road. The 88, Noah Owens, he's slow up the inside. He may have also just come off pit road. It's possible. There goes Phillip Scott, the 99. Slow down on the apron, and that is another thing to note about Darlington. The pit road entrance here, very, very difficult. You gotta slow way down and go way down on the inside of the racetrack to hit this entrance. It's the 33 of Trey Whited also down. Sam Kohlhaas down pit road. That leaves Justin White hiding behind the billboards down the back straightaway. And the pit road entrance is super far off track. You can't even see it from the chopper. That's how far away it is. I was hoping we could catch a glimpse of it. But you have to get slowed down way into turn 3 and get down on the apron. It is almost impossible to hit that pit road entrance from the track in the middle of 3 and 4, as you saw White get awfully close to the wall once again. See if he pits this time. No, does not. A lot of drivers have made their pit stops though at this point in the run here. The only drivers, well, actually there are quite a few not making pit stops. Phillip Scott has pitted, Matt Donnelly, Trey Whited, Sam Kohlhaas has pitted. We've actually caught everyone that's made pit stops, so I'm doing an alright job. Nick Kessler actually pitted really early in the cycle. He's been out for 10 laps already on tires. This is the 6 as he gets into the wall. And that's the worst time for me to pan to you. I'm sorry there, Nick. Continue to look. More takers now down pit road. Mike Tellier in the 47 and Martin Plute in the 4 down pit road. Noah Owens 88 down pit road now. So more drivers coming in to make those stops. Nate Maurer in the 971 coming down pit road now. Of course, we saw his teammate, the 77 of Doug Neal, pit really early on. Of course, that's been 24 laps ago now that Doug Neal has been on track. So that one, I believe, unscheduled stop for driver of the number 77. Justin White, though, continues to stay out on track, and this is a risky strategy because we talk about how far the lap times fall off with tire wear. The driver he was racing for the lead, Phillip Scott, already been down pit road. And Phillip, the fastest car on the racetrack last time by, is a second and a half faster than Justin White. I think Justin's listening because here he comes down pit road now in that number 2 machine. And that will turn things over. No, Stan Hausman also coming down pit road in the Beer Street Journal machine. Let's see, Steven Lachensky coming down pit road, trying to, gets a little sideways there, make that sharp left turn. He's down. Let's see, Tom Lester, the next car who would be staying out on the racetrack. He is, maybe, yes. Oh, he's using that kind of below the white line through 3 and 4. We haven't really seen anybody doing much of that here tonight is Lester. And he will not lead that last lap, though, because Justin White's pit stall in front of the start-finish line, and there was a big enough gap that White was able to lead that lap. But if he does not pit this time, your race leader will be the 48 of Tom Lester. He is going to pit this time, though, the 48. Oh, he's a little hot into pit road, hits the cone, blinks out. But I think he made it all right. I don't think he'll be getting a penalty for that. So will Ryan Sizemore pit? No, he will not. New race leader of the 8 machine of Ryan Sizemore. Of course, there goes Martin Plute on fresh tires, and just look at the advantage. Plus the 8 into the wall. Doesn't help his situation, but he is your race leader now over Phillip Scott in the 99, who runs in second and will have a 7-second lead over Justin White when things cycle out. So unfortunately for Justin, gonna lose a lot of time and hand Phillip Scott a hefty race lead as the 8 of Sizemore now down pit road. Phillip Scott once again your race leader, and we'll wait for everything to cycle out, but Matt Donnelly in the 41 is going to be running second place now on the racetrack. He is scoring, is being really weird, 5 seconds behind Phillip Scott. That is a huge lead Phillip got because of the pit cycle, and he actually pitted later than Matt Donnelly did also. Of course, Donnelly has clocked the fastest lap of the race so far with a 30.146. That's significantly faster than anyone else, actually. That's over a 1/10 of a second faster than Phillip Scott's best lap of the race. So Donnelly has a lot of speed there in that Ford, but Again, 5 seconds behind Phillip Scott, although he is faster than Scott right now. About a tenth faster that last lap, but he's going to need way more than that if he wants to run down your race leader. Of course, Justin White now runs third. You see him fighting with Nate Maurer for the third position. Was leading into the green flag pit cycle, but like we said, just waited to make the pit stop and has handed away a lot of that track position. A lot of these drivers probably really going to want a caution if they're going to make up all this time on race leader Phillip Scott. Of course, like we've said, Phillip had a great run through about the 3rd through 5th races of the season. Won at Rockingham, dominated Iowa, but didn't come away with that win in that race. But Phillip's been a contender throughout most of the season. Again, was good at Gateway, but got a DNF that last week. Michigan started on pole, so Phillip's had a ton of speed so far. 5 top 10s, 4 top 5s through 7 races. Only 1 win to show for it. Of course, he's looking to change that here tonight and is on track as we come to take lap 58 of 90 for a great race here. Looking to come away with win number 2. That would tie Adam Pettit and Jason Gracias as for the most wins of the season with 2. Of course, that is a long time away, over 30 laps away here at Darlington. A lot can happen between now and then. Of course, they can make it to the end on fuel from this point, we believe, since they went halfway through their first set of pit stops. Looking now back out into the chat, we've got Dominic Tesoro saying tomorrow should be a good one. Trucks around this place are going to be a handful. Trucks usually a handful around a lot of tracks, though. They drive very differently than anything else does. Chris Darling saying that it was silly to stay out. Tristan Maher saying fresh tires at this place are insane, and we saw that almost 2-second difference between fresh tires and not fresh tires here during that green flag pit stop. And Phillip Scott says you don't need to tell me because he made that call to come in earlier than most of those drivers he was racing around, and he's inherited over a 5-second lead. I was gonna say he's stretching it out over Matt Donnelly, but in fact he has been, but it's not Matt Donnelly he's stretching out the gap over. It's now Justin White who is running in second place. Nate Maurer in third. Donnelly's dropped quite a bit of time, and I must have had a little bit of a wall incident somewhere, got sideways somewhere, because he's dropped a lot of time really quick. You see the 6 of Nick Kessler now back down pit road for another stop. See, he is taking tires there. I didn't know if that was a penalty because it was reading he'd just come down pit road. But these two, it is worth noting, are running down Phillip Scott for the race lead. Phillip's not, okay, I got 5 seconds on the pit stops. This race is won. Now, Justin and Nathan are still running him down. You see by about 2/10 there. Justin White was the fastest car on the racetrack. I don't think anyone else going to beat that time. They are not. So Justin faster than Phillip Scott by about 2/10 there, about 2.5. Nate Maurer right in pace with Justin White. Of course, you have to imagine if they run him down, they're going to burn off a lot of tire having done that. We will just have to wait and see. Again, under 30 laps now in this race, and no more pit stops. So what you see is what you get. If you are Justin White, you're faced with running down a 5-second gap on Phillip Scott. And we'll ride on board a little bit with Justin White as he tries to do that. those are right along there with a couple of drivers here on the racetrack. You're seeing right now Trey Whited trying to run down Mike Tellier in the number 47. About a second separates those two. Up toward the front, though, Justin White is making some time still on Phillip Scott, continuing to cook off fastest laps on the racetrack, just barely over Nate Maurer. Justin White now down to about 4 seconds in between himself and Phillip Scott, so that gap does continue to dwindle. And at this pace, Justin could get close to Phillip Scott. He might catch him by the end of the race if he can catch it up. But I think Tristan out in the chat said it perfectly that Phillip should just be riding and saving as much tire as he can because he has a gap to work with. I was going to say really the same thing, Tristan. Phillip has 5 seconds to kill in between him and Justin White. He can ride a little bit, save tires, not push that car super hard, whereas Justin White has to run really hard for 2 reasons. One, he's got Nate Maurer on his tail and doesn't want to get passed by the Simbox Racing driver. But on the other hand, he has to run down Phillip Scott from 5 seconds back. So you've got to be pushing if you were driver of the number 2 machine. And if he is able to catch Phillip's going to, you would think, have a lot more tires saved up, as Justin and Nate going to work around the 88 of Noah Owens down the back straightaway. But Phillip Scott has done a great job again handling lap traffic very well here through these middle stages of the run, coming to 20 laps to go next time by, 21 to go right now. You see, he's still not afraid to go run up right next to the wall, though. He's certainly in turns number 1 and 2, at least, still right up there, getting that run as close as he can to the wall. You assume Justin White doing the same thing back here. 3 and 4. Yeah, you see left tires above that highest seat. Nate Maurer, though, clipped the wall. 2 turns 3 and 4. That's going to help Justin White get away, as again Justin White cooks the fastest lap on the racetrack. Well, other cars have to pass, but of these front group at least, because everyone else is like 10 or 15 seconds behind, Justin White has been consistently faster than Phillip Scott and Nate Maurer. Just kind of an update on the running position of everyone here. Phillip Scott is your race leader. He is about 3 seconds now in front of Justin White, who runs second. Nate Maurer in third is about a second now behind Justin White. Then we're going to jump back 8 seconds to Matt Donnelly in the number 41 machine, who pitted a little bit earlier than everyone else did, and that's really, I think, the tires are showing here, as Donnelly really struggling. You see him clip the wall a little bit. Then in 5th is Stan Hausman in the number 39 Beer Street Journal machine. He runs 14 seconds behind Phillip Scott. Mike Tellier about 4 seconds behind him. 2 seconds behind Tellier is Trey Whited. Steven Lachensky then 3 seconds behind Whited. Martin Plute is about 4 seconds behind Lachensky, and that rounds out your lead lap cars. 9 drivers on the lead lap in this one, 73 laps in. Under 20 to go now for race leader Phillip Scott, but Justin White still really in Scott fast. That's now down to 2.5 seconds. The last time by, Justin White was about 0.3 faster than your race leader, and that wasn't just a one-time thing. Justin White has been consistently 2 or 0.3 a second faster per lap than Phillip Scott. So I am wondering, and you all out in the chat can weigh in on this, how much Phillip is actually saving, or if Justin White just has found some pace, because as you can see, kind of looking around at the track, the sun is starting to set. That light that was on the track earlier in the race no longer there. And so that is going to change the way these cars handle. Do you think that Phillip is just saving and intentionally being 2 or 0.3 a second slower per lap, or do you think Justin White's car is just better set up to adapt to these changing track conditions? That is kind of the question that we are going to have to wait and see. But he only has 15 laps to go this next time by, and oh, that's not going to help Justin White into the wall through 3 and 4. That is really going to hurt driver of the number 2. Let's see what happens to the lap time. Yeah, he lost 4/10 of a second that lap to Phillip Scott. Not what you want to be doing if you have to run down your race leader. He is 2 points, no, now 3/10 of his, not 3/10, 3 seconds behind your race leader is Justin White. So a significant amount of time lost because of that one. We'll have to wait and see again if he can make that up, or if he is just not going to be able to catch this man here, driver of the National Ninja League number 9, D9, looking for his second win on the season. And he would do it on some of the older racetracks too. He won Rockingham, which you associate with older NASCAR. Well, really, because it's not run anymore on the circuit, although they're trying to bring back Rockingham. And then Darlington, which has been on the Cup Series since I believe the 1950s is when this track was built. So Phillip Scott doing well on these tracks that have older, more abrasive surfaces. Oh, the 88 of Noah Owens, I think, gave Phillip Scott a little bit of a scare there, but he gathers it back up. That last time by, Phillip Scott once again faster than Justin White in the number 2. Wonder if that damage maybe hurt Justin White a little bit. Maybe he's dropping some lap time again. Oh, and again into the wall is the 2 of Justin White, just really pushing the car, and I think that's really hurt Justin White and his chances to go run down your race leader. And Nate Maurer also catching back up again to the 2 of Justin White, just a little bit, I believe. We'll pull up again the graphic on the lap times. No, Justin actually ran away just a little the last time by. We'll see what they do this lap as Nate heads into 1 and 2. No, that was the last lap that Justin actually pulled away, but before that, Nate was running him down. Bob Giaquinto out in the chat saying, come on, Phillip. He has just 11 more laps here out in the race lead. He's 3 seconds in front of Justin White in second, but sandwiched in between some lap traffic here. The 4 of Martin Plute and the 88 of Noah Owens have Phillip Scott really trapped. Not much anywhere for him to go. Ryder out in the chat saying all the branding work that he's been doing on the car still haven't updated to reflect National Ninja League's rebranding to World Ninja League. Well, I will know to say it now. He's in the World Ninja League car. Thank you, Ryder, for keeping me on it up here in the booth. Phillip still pulling away from Justin White. Not the last lap, though. Justin White was back to his old ways, about 4/10 of a second faster than Phillip Scott. But now, with less than 10 laps to do it, he's going to need that pace every single lap, plus time to catch Phillip Scott. So it is going to be a difficult task for Justin White, especially if he does it like that and was slower than Phillip Scott, who is now through lap traffic that might have been holding him up there that last lap in clean air, and he is the fastest car on the racetrack right now. Nate Maurer again running in third place, also on the podium for Simbox Racing. Here he has an 11-second lead over Stan Hausman in the Beer Street Journal machine, but for Stan Hausman, also a good run here tonight. Stan comes in to this race at Darlington 15th in points, and with only 1 top 5, 2 top 10s. So he's looking to put another top 5 in that column and help get himself up closer to the chase. Again, about midway through the regular season here. But Phillip Scott is pulling now Justin White. A lot of fast lap times out at the front of the field. Once again, fastest car on the racetrack, but he has Noah Owens right behind him here. Again, Owens not on the lead lap. He is 1 lap down here on the racetrack. Actually, 5 laps down. Excuse me, I read the number wrong. Noah Owens, we saw him involved in some incidents through the race. One, I believe, that almost brought out a caution. You see Phillip now letting the driver of the 88 machine by. It's also worth noting that Noah Owens has 30 lap fresher tires than Phillip Scott does, so probably a smart move giving up a little time to let the 88 by, but again, 4 seconds to give up on Justin White. And again, Phillip Scott was faster by 2/10. Coming to 5 laps to go this time by. Justin White at this point needs to run him down by like half a second a lap, at least, I think more, if he wanted to catch Phillip. I don't even think 3/4 of a second would do it now that I'm thinking of it. Justin White battling with Doug Neal. This not for position. Doug Neal, again, also 3 laps down on the racetrack is again White just close to the wall. He might not have got it. Sometimes iRacing will throw sparks even if you're not actually up in the wall. Nate Maurer is running down Justin White though, but again, needs to be doing it a lot quicker. Justin was actually faster the last lap, but Nate has been slowly bringing down that 2-second gap to about 1 second, 1.5 seconds now in between those two. But again, running out of time is what we're seeing on track. Last car on the lead lap, Trey Whited again. I pan the camera to him exactly when he gets into the wall. I've done that to a couple drivers here tonight. Whited running in 7th. He is the last car on the lead lap. In 6th is Mike Tellier. 5th, Matt Donnelly. 4th, Stan Hausman. 3rd, Nate Maurer. 2nd is the 2 machine of Justin White. I love when their numbers and their positions are the same. And Phillip Scott up front with 2.5 laps to go, looking for his 2nd win on the season here, as he's going to have to work through more lap traffic. That's the 8 of Ryan Sizemore, the heavily damaged 8 of Ryan Sizemore out in front of him. And Noah Owens on fresh tires right there. Oh, this is going to get tricky for Phillip. You see him back out there. Wise move. Just giving those two a little room to race here. And you see the speed difference between the damaged 8 of Scott, or the damaged 8 of Sizemore, and the clean race leader of Phillip Scott. But Sizemore gonna race him here off into turn number 3. Holding the high lines, actually gonna give Phillip a run for it. Sizemore trying not to go 2 laps down here, 3 laps down here. But I think Phillip just has the straightaway speed. Gonna be able to clear him with 1 lap to go for your race leader here in race number 8 of the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series. Down the back straightaway through 3 for the final time. Phillip Scott dominated this race, lost the lead a little to Justin White, but the pit strategy put him with a big gap out front. He took advantage of it. Phillip Scott gonna pick up race win here tonight from Darlington after one heck of a drive. Poor driver of the number 99 machine. Justin White will come home in 2nd, and Nate Maurer will bring it home in 3rd. We are gonna talk with all those drivers here shortly in our post-race interviews here, so stick with us on the World Racing Network. Phillip Scott gonna go around to do some burnouts, and we will be right back with you here. Keep it on the World Racing Network for post-race interviews with your top 3. And we're back here on the World Racing Network, and we have some post-race interviews lined up for you here. First off, we are going to talk with 3rd place finisher Nate Maurer. Nate's Mitchell in the World Racing Network booth. You got a copy?
I got you guys. How you doing?
We're doing pretty good, and it was a great run from you here tonight. Darlington's a tricky track, but you're going to walk away with a podium finish here in third place. Just kind of take us through your night and how you got here.
It wasn't a long run practice, and I was trying to run hot laps. I wanted to start up front here tonight. Thought there'd be more cautions. That one caution came out. I forget what lap it came out on, 13, I guess. And I was undecided to come in and take tires or not. And I probably should have came in and took tires. Then I knew I was probably going to settle in P3, but then once Justin White took tires there, Phillip Scott was faster than me. So I was just kind of banking on a P3 there, and that's what we came out with here tonight.
Well, it's a great run for you here, and you came into tonight fourth in points. You've got to win on the season, and you're looking strong here. I know it's a little early to be talking about the postseason, but how heavily does that weigh on your mind when you come into such a dangerous track as Darlington and just the races moving forward?
To me, I feel like Talladega next week is a more dangerous track than this week. I personally love this track. Xfinity car is my favorite car to drive. But yeah, I got my first Darlington stripe there right towards the end of the race. But yeah, I guess it is a tricky track, but I love this place. And I mean, yeah, I guess guys like Martin Plouffe even struggle tonight. Usually he's always up front, but finally for once he had a bad race. But we'll take the points and keep moving forward here.
Well, and you mentioned Talladega next week. I was going to ask you about it. I know I've raced with you a lot on speedways. I know you're a great plate racer and you've had success in the Super Speedway Series. I believe it's now the 5-Star Cuts Super Speedway Series in the NSRA. How confident are you going into Talladega next week? I know it's hard to be confident, but I know you've got some skills on those kind of tracks.
So I always ride around in the back and let the hotheads wreck themselves out, and hopefully be there at the end there. So just not that long ago, I won a race. I went from 14th, I think, to first in a lap and a half. So being patient's key there, going to them super speedways.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to seeing you try and get to victory lane next week at Talladega. But before then, we've got to let you go. But do you have any shout-outs you want to give?
I gotta give shout outs to my two teammates in here. Justin White, great win by him. I think if he would have played his strategy a little bit better, I think he might have been able to come out of here with a win. I think he waited too long to pit there when Phillip pitted. Shout out to my other teammate Doug Neal. If you need a button box, hit up Sendbox PC on Facebook. And shout out to you guys for broadcasting this there at Worldwide Racing Network. And shout out to Justin for pretty much running this NSRA league now.
And thank you for stopping by and chatting with us. Again, best of luck to you next week at Talladega, and congratulations on the strong run here tonight.
Thanks, guys. Have a good week.
And that was your third place finisher here tonight, Nate Maurer. It's time now to talk to your second place finisher, though, Justin White's Mitchell in the WRN booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir. Got you loud and clear.
Well, you had a great car here tonight at Darlington. It was really good run from you. Just came up a little bit short of Phillip Scott. Just take us through the strategy and what else maybe you could have done to go up and challenge for the race lead.
Yeah, when we got that first caution, I went, well, might as well take tires because the field size was already limited as it is. So I figured, well, let's take tires and see what happens here. At least I'll have fresh tires and be able to go a little bit longer. And then I'll try to pit within a lap or two of Phillip pitting the 99 because I knew that if I did that, I'd have a little bit fresher tires and it may have taken me a little bit further. But I think I pitted 4 laps after he did. But when I finally recognized it, sometimes it's nice having a crew chief tell you that in your ear, hey, the leader's pitting or the guy that you're racing's pitting. But when I finally realized, I was like, oh, man, this may be too late. And then I just pushed it too hard trying to get back to him. Got my tires a little too hot. I checked them after the race was over, and the right front was in the 300. So at that point, all grip was lost. So I just tried to just manage those last few laps, knowing that there's not much you can do. Because, I mean, once you're out front with that clean air, even with this Xfinity car, you're just kind of setting sail. So Good win by Phillip though. He drove a great race all night or all day, whichever one. He kept it clean. I know everybody gets that Darlington stripe. This is what this place is known for. So, but he did a great race. Good job to him.
And you talked about wearing those tires a little too much, getting them too hot. I know Darlington, it's one of the hardest tracks on tires we probably go to this season. How big a difference was a couple laps on tires here?
You're talking half a second to sometimes 3/4 of a second, depending on who's running it. So tire saving was key. If you could save your tires and have them kind of be, equal out over the entire run, you were going to be better off overall. And that's what I did over that long run after that first caution. I think it was like lap 10, I believe, is when we had a lap 11. So just trying to, even out those times to where you average out, a faster time than everybody else, despite those guys running 10 to 15 laps faster, faster than you for the first 10 or 15 laps, first, part of the run. If you could kind of even that out and have a better average of, I think we went, 38, 39 laps on that run, and it equals out better overall.
Yeah, and looking forward to next week. Completely different style of racing at Talladega. Very unpredictable, but how do you feel going into Talladega after a good run here at Darlington?
Super speedway racing is a coin flip. It's a 50-50 chance as long as you can keep, I would say stay up front, but sometimes staying up front ends up getting you wrecked. It all comes down to timely pushes and having good teammates. I'm pretty sure that Nate Maurer and Doug Neal will be there with me, and we'll all three of us will hook up together. And just keeping on the same strategy. If as long as we don't have a ton of cautions, I think we will, three-car grouping will, as long as we stay together and stay out of the melee, I think we'll be fine. And I'm sure the field will grow quite a bit because, super speedway racing requires just keep that nose pointed straight, and you're pretty much can be in it, keep it straight and keep it out of the wall and out of everybody else, and you'll be at the front towards the end, and that's what matters.
And I was talking with Nate, too. I know Simbox always brings really good super speedway cars, so we're looking forward to seeing you try and get that first win of the season next week. But before we let you go, do you have any shout-outs you'd like to give?
Yeah, shout out to my teammates, Doug, Neil, Nate Maurer, and then my other guys that race with us, Travis and David Buell, guys that we all race pretty much across the week, all race together, making each other better across all series that we run. Appreciate to all them. Appreciate to other admins in the league for helping me, bounce ideas off, make sure we keep this thing flowing. Chris for, originally starting it up, we wouldn't have this without him. So appreciate him. Appreciate you in the broadcast booth. Give a shout out to Grinds, my that sponsor from the car. They helped me quit tobacco and they allow me to run the logo. So shout out to them, and shout out to Beer Street Journal. I appreciate those guys coming on board, sponsoring the series, and of course here in the trucks as well. That's a big help for us, allowing us to broadcast and bring bigger and better things to the league, and hopefully we'll continue to grow and keep this thing rolling.
And we look forward to getting through the rest of the season with you guys. And again, best of luck at Talladega next week. It should be a great show for us, and best of luck then, Justin.
Yes, sir. Hopefully I'll be talking to you again.
That was Justin White, your second place finisher here tonight at Darlington, but it is time to talk to the man who gets his second win of the season, Phillip Scott. Congratulations on win number 2. I know it was quite the race for you, a very fast car. Once again, just take us through what made you so fast here tonight at Darlington.
Thanks. Yeah, I don't know. I think I kind of I was in the waiting lobby. I was telling Justin. I was telling Mike. I was saying, like, I kind of have a type of track that I seem to be good at, because when at Rockingham and now Darlington, two very oddball shaped ovals that have really unique characteristics, and you got to really wheel the car. But yeah, I felt pretty fast and stuff in practice, but I knew not everything was guaranteed because practice times were really even. So I was mainly focused on the race, doing a lot of long runs, just really trying to pace myself and everything. And I I know that the 33 was pretty fast at the beginning. I'm not exactly sure what happened. He might have had some damage or something, but yeah, I was just trying to control the pace the whole way. And then when during the pit cycle, I knew my only chance was to undercut Justin because he had a huge advantage with the newer tires. So I knew that I had to undercut as soon as possible, as soon as he started to like really pull away from me. And yeah, then I got out to like a 6 second advantage after the pits cycle, and I knew that was gonna come down quick because I had like 5 lap older tires. So I just saved my stuff as good as I could, and then uh, once the gap got down to like 2 seconds, I just made sure to turn on the jets a little bit more and use the tire that I saved the rest of the way, and I tried not to be too aggressive around the lap cars. 88 was faster than me, and so I just kind of let him by and stuff. But yeah, it was definitely you're definitely racing the racetrack at Darlington, so I'm really glad to get a win here.
And I know you mentioned having a type of track. I think I mentioned it during the broadcast too, that you picked up the win at Rockingham. Now you picked up one here at Darlington. They're both older surfaces, really tough on the tires, very technical racetracks. Is that just something with your driving style that these really abrasive racetrack fits the way you approach the races?
Yeah, I think it mainly comes from, well, obviously I like to watch those types of races, but also I think it comes from my because I primarily do road racing on iRacing, so um, I think the fact that every corner is like different and there's different characteristics, and especially when there's the horsepower of the Xfinity car, and I can really like get a feel for the track and treat every lap like several like mini sectors like a full road course. Then I think that's what I really like. Just I like tracks with a lot of personality because they kind of feel like road courses to me. Because last week Gateway kind of felt the same way for me too, both Thursday and Friday. I definitely like that kind of track.
Yeah, and a very different kind of track next week at Talladega. It's kind of technical for different reasons. I know that it's really a wild racetrack. You can't really expect much because it can go any way, but looking at Talladega next week, do you think we could see you get your third win on the season?
You never know. I've like never won a super speedway race in NSRA. I think actually no, the first race back when the Thursday series was the Wednesday series, like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. Um, I won a Talladega race because the winner got DQ'd. So, but that's pretty much it. I haven't like actually properly won a Dega race. I know that trucks last season at Dega I led like 60 something laps. That kind of just uh, because of the yellow and obviously people being aggressive at the end. I didn't quite get it done, but I'd definitely like to get a win at Dega. My strategy at Dega nowadays has been just be as aggressive at the front as I can, and then once I start to feel like something is gonna happen, then I just back off. But most of the time, I'll be like racing near the front.
Well, if you've led 60 laps at Talladega, if you just lead all 60 we have next week, you'd be cruising to your race win. Talladega, lead every lap. But before we get there, I'm going to step away from the mic for just a second, give you a chance to shout out anybody who's helped you get into victory lane. I know you got a lot of fans out in the chat, too.
Yeah, my friends, of course, Colin and Alex, always Ryder Langle, RC Planes. They always they always come watch my run, my races, and I saw Tristan was in the chat and Bob was too. So thanks guys for cheering me on. And obviously my sponsor, one of my sponsors, McKenna-Hassey Racing, uh, World of Outlaws driver in the Midwest. Go check her out. And then, of course, I got to make a new car too because we changed the name of the National Ninja League to the World Ninja League because we got a lot of countries now involved. I know at the World Championships last month, or in April, we had people from like Australia, Poland, Italy all come and compete. So it doesn't really make sense to be national anymore because it's definitely a worldwide thing nowadays. So yeah, you'll probably see a new car next Thursday, and yeah, for this was a fun race. Thanks.
Well, thank you for stopping by and chatting with us. I know you're busy celebrating after your second win of the season, but again, congratulations on quite the run here tonight, and best of luck at Talladega.
Yeah, thanks, man.
And that was your race winner, Phillip Scott, picking up his second win of the season. Like we've said, that ties him for the most wins on the season by any driver. That's a three-way tie between himself, Adam Pettit, and Jason Gracias, and those two were not here tonight. Hopefully they'll be back next week here on the World Racing Network for Talladega, which I hope you all will be back too for that one, because Talladega always puts on one heck of a show. You won't want to miss it here. Again, quickly, got to do a little shout out to Brookstone Animal Hospital, because once again, missed the Brookstone Animal Hospital Lucky Dog Award earlier on. I got him last week. I did not get him this week. So big thank you to Brookstone Animal Hospital for sponsoring the Lucky Dog Award. We did have one caution. I'm not sure if a driver was lapped at that point to get the award, but either way, big thank you to Brookstone Animal Hospital and all of the sponsors of the Beer Street Journal Grand National Series. Without them, it wouldn't be possible. Of course, Beer Street Journal, go check them out. Again, all these are in the video description, all their links. Max Graphics, Stay Tuned Sports. Again, the Stay Tuned Sports podcast will be right here at Darlington tomorrow night over on 3 Wide TV. Make sure to go check out that race. Also, Simbox, Brookstone Animal Hospital, we mentioned, as well Taz Racing Customs, J&R Craftworks, and Eclipse Photography all help make the series possible, and their logos are ticking away up at the top right-hand corner of your screen through the whole race, so go make sure to give them some love for all they do for the National Sim Racing Association and us here at the World Racing Network, because this would not be possible without all of those sponsors and their generosity. And of course, thank you to all of you out in the chat for watching this one. RC Plains rider Phillip Scott, race winner's been out in the chat. Tristan, Will, Bob Giaquinto, Stay Tuned Sports, and anyone else who's been in here throughout the course of the race. I want to give you all a big shout out to watching this race with me. And again, until next Thursday, when we will be back once again for Talladega. Scratch that. I got to go through the final standings here from tonight. Don't want to forget to let you know where your favorite driver finished. Get a little ahead of myself. Phillip Scott, of course, picked up the race win. Justin White finished in second place. Nate Maurer finished in third. Then it was Stan Hausman finishing in fourth. Matt Donnelly rounded out the top five. Then it was Mike Tellier in sixth. Trey White at seventh. Martin Plute eighth. Steven Lachensky ninth. In 10th was Tom Lester. Then outside the top 10 was Ryan Sizemore in 11th, Sam Kohlhaas 12th, Doug Neal 13th, Noah Owens 14th, and Nick Kessler rounded out the 15-car field. Again, we hope to see you all back again next Thursday night for Talladega. It should be one of the highlights of the season. That will be, again, the Stay Tuned Sports 160. I know we had Stay Tuned Sports out in the chat. Jimbo, hopefully we see Jimbo. Maybe you'll get back out on track for that race. It'd be a ton of fun. But until then, for all of us here at the World Racing Network, myself, Mitchell Adams, again, Tyler Belanger, we hope he gets feeling better and can be back next week for Talladega. And everyone in the National Sim Racing Association, all of you out in chat, we hope you all stay safe, have fun, and we are going to see you next week.